Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, another episode here of Fast Break on IE Sports Radio. I want to talk to y'all about the last 8 years of the company. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans for the fans. With your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see 5 different Patreon links with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout outs to all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on our segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed that is all sports. And here's for many more 8 years to come. I do want to shout out 4 Patreon members: Barry Reyes, Marcus, Los, Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you all very much for y'all support. And on to the show. On tonight's show, we'll discuss the Memphis and L.A. Lakers showdown this past Friday. Why could be a big momentum swing for the Lakers. How can Memphis, shrug that off? And we'll talk about the shots, kind of a shot show with Shannon Sharpe and the Memphis Grizzlies. Plus, Jonathan Isaac comes back for the Magic. What can he bring to the table to a young team that, if he get a spark, can make a run? Or is he trade bait? Plus, we'll go over all college basketball news and scores, and NBA scores as well. This is Fast Break, live on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports, and you're welcome to join us. Joining us as you shout tonight. Lots to talk about, lots to get into tonight. We're in division around the NFL. That's going on right now. Dallas and San Francisco on the TV screen as we speak. Buffalo lost today against Cincinnati. So they move on to play Kansas City next week. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing pretty well. Had to take me a little week of recovery since I got the ass whooped last week, but I am fine, especially with how my Magic are playing pretty well. They're starting to get things cooking. They actually got the Boston Celtics tomorrow. But we got it going on tonight, starting with the Knicks and the Raptors.
Yeah, Knicks and Raptors, like a big Sunday slate. Lots of good games tonight, especially in NBA and college as well. Temple with the upset, and the men's side of things that probably all year, beating Houston 56-55, but we'll talk about that more in a second. But like you mentioned about the Knicks and Raptors up big right now, 112-96. Knicks just took the Knicks took a full timeout. Jalen Brunson not had his one best scoring game, 13 points for him so far. Julius Randle, 21 points, 16 rebounds. I mean, great stat line for him, but it seems like it's not enough for them. RJ Barrett, 25 points. Quentin Grimes, 5 points as well.
I believe Mitchell Robinson is out tonight, right?
Yeah, he's still out. He's still trying to work himself back from the injury, so we'll see about that. Emmanuel Quickly did not play tonight. I guess Evan Fournier is being put back in the rotation. God, these rotations from the Knicks is just like something
It's a
else.
toss up, man. You never know what they're gonna do.
It's bad. That's why I wasn't real too keen about Tibbs being the coach there. But your thoughts on this game? You know, the Raptors 23 from Van Fleet, 24 for Gary Trent, 20 for Siakam. Uh, your thoughts on the Knicks and it kind of like hoppitating around. What's your read on the Knicks right now as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline? What's your read on them so far?
Well, my thing about them is they're very inconsistent. Mitchell Robinson being out, like you said earlier, uh, now we've seen Fournier in the fold. We haven't seen Hale Policy last year get a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Quentin Grimes, getting a lot of minutes right now. RJ Barrett, I still think is one of the pieces that they are building around along with Julius Randle. Right now, it's sitting at 25 and 22. Looks like they might more likely going 25 and 33. Actually, you're playing pretty good as an away team, but the thing that does strike me that's bad with this team is the rotation. You don't know who's going to get a lot of minutes with these guys. I mean, you got to use the obvious guys, and then after that, it's like Tibbs is all over the place with his rotation. And I think that's something that needs to be fixed, especially in the division that he's in with Brooklyn, Boston, Philly, and Toronto. And right now, sitting, I believe, in last in that division right now, division last. Yeah, so they're not doing so hot in that part. They already are on a 3-game loser streak heading to the fourth, starting with Toronto in the overtime game. So I think they have to figure this out. And I don't think they really traded anybody. I think the person that they might probably definitely consider trading is Derrick Rose. I don't even think we see him all year long.
Some part.
Yeah. So for me, I think he'll be one of the guys that is going to be traded. But along with his losing streak, to be honest, it's not getting any better. It's not going to look like it. They got Cleveland coming up, Boston, and then Brooklyn. So then the Lakers and Miami. So they got hell of a lot of games coming up, very competitive. That's gonna challenge them. So trying to see the purpose of him putting Fournier in the role. Maybe it's a person that he's considering trading as well to show that he's healthy, to show that he still has the minutes that he can put in. But this team, to be honest, I like what Julius Randle was doing. I mean, he's still playing. I think he's playing pretty well for me this year so far. It's just that what hurts this is this rotation. Jalen Brunson, I think he's playing extremely well. Obviously, this game he hasn't, but recently he's been living up to the hype, of what they paid him for me. I like what he's been doing, but it just seems like right now they can't catch a break right now. I mean, to be honest with you, they went in a 3-game winning streak to beat the Pacers and the Wizards and Detroit. 2 of those games, Brunson led the team in points, and then I believe Randle led them in one of them. So I think Brunson and Randle is doing all they can to help his team. They need these other guys to get rolling. Quentin Grimes getting all them damn minutes. We need to see more from him. I mean, right now, like I said, I believe let me double check. I think he had like 8 scoring points on the night, something like that. Like on a night to where you're getting all these minutes. Fournier can't buy a basket for the most part. It hasn't been all year long. RJ Barrett is gonna get his for the most part. Speaking of Quentin Grimes, he just scored. So I think that, like I said, if they can find this, if Tibbs can stick to a rotation and roll with that, I think they'll be fine. But that is the biggest issue with Tibbs, and has always been. They need to get things rolling. So I think that, like I said, Jericho Sam's getting out now. He's getting some damn minutes. Hell, Obi Toppin getting some damn minutes. It's like he's trying to get everybody to damn play. So for me, I think that's the biggest thing. with the Knicks is, we'll see 4 or 5 different groups in there. So they're getting that chemistry, and then they're taking somebody out. Tibbs playing this team is a damn basketball, like it's NBA 2K23 or something. So what chemistry doesn't matter as much, and it does. So and then on top of it, they're losing to the Raptors, who are 20-27. So for me, get this rotation stuff figured out. Now Mitchell Robinson kind of being out, we've seen Harvestein hasn't really done too much for them.
And that's signed him for a pretty nice deal in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. So you spend that money, and this is what you're getting out of it. So Tibbs could possibly be on the hot seat if things continue to go this way.
I think Terry, we get shout out to Terry Rodriguez. We'll get to the Lakers here in a second. Real quick for the Knicks, like you said, consistency. It's like for Tibbs, for a guy that's been in the NBA for this long, you gotta change up your style a little bit. You can't continue playing your guys minutes on win, and you gotta fluctuate things, man. You gotta equal out things a little bit better. And I know like some of these older players don't like these guys doing load management and stuff like that. I get that. Trust me, I don't like Kawhi, Paul George missing time and a half because they got a set schedule. But the rotation thing, Cam Reddish, you give up a first round pick for him, and he barely plays the man. Now for Cam Reddish, we have went from they wanting a first round pick for him to 2 second round picks, now to just a lonely second round pick. That's where we at for Cam Reddish. Derrick Rose. I mean, you probably had to take a second round pick for him as well. Quickly. It's like, what can you get for him? I just don't know where to go. Bad salary moves and like signing Hartenson and Fournier the big deals. You kind of wait for the other shoe to drop for Quentin Grimes, but he's been decent. But we talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade. He was dead set going to the Knicks, and you kind of look at Quentin Grimes and what he's been producing. If you got Donovan Mitchell who's still in the mid-20s, early mid-20s, you give that dude up. I don't care how much you like Quentin Grimes. Dudes that play like that, you can find in the G League easily. So you give up a Quentin Grimes and you multiple first round picks for Donovan Mitchell. And throw in quickly or something like that. Now look at your roster. You got Mitchell. You got Bronson. Barrett. Julius Randle. Mitchell Robinson when he's healthy. Toppin.
All these guys.
Cam Reddish. Derrick Rose. You talking about a whole different roster right there. That you probably, top half in the East right now. I mean, they're 7th in the West right now, but you see where Cleveland's at. They're 5th right now. And, if Mitchell and Garland didn't miss games, you could be talking about them at the top of the East. But, I don't know, man. We'll see about the Knicks. Like I said, I think if you're the Knicks, you got to think about if Tibbs is the right guy for down the line, or can you make a change for a more offensive-minded coach or something like that to kind of get the best out of his team. But I'll let you have the last word on the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, for me, it's just the inconsistency with this team. because, like I said, they find a good rotation, they start to roll, and then now he's fitting in all these other guys. And I compared it to a video game because a video game, a lot of them they're doing it now. The way that they play on the video game is not really solely based on chemistry. You can just put players all over the place and make shots and all that. That's not how it works. And it seems like that's how Tibbs is playing his guy. So for me, I think that he needs to have oh my gosh.
Oh, you saw the fumble.
Yeah. So, but for me, he needs to have his rotation of guys, and that is the group that he needs to roll with for a certain period of time. Because when you get in the playoffs, you have to shorten that rotation of guys. You have to shorten that rotation. Like, you're not gonna play all 12 to 15 guys on the bench and say, okay, all y'all get in and we about to figure this out through no 7-game series. No, that's not how it works. So for me, he needs to have his group and run them through it. And what happens is they get on these win streaks, and then for some reason now he goes back to saying, well, let me experience this and that and the third. And then when that happens, that losing streak comes back around. I mean, if you look at this, the way the season has been going for them, I think they had at least at some point maybe a 7 to 8 game winning streak. Then they went on a losing streak. Then they go on a 4 or 5 game, and they lose it. Like, it's the inconsistency, and that is what hurts this team. So now, like I said, you're gonna go on the stretch. Let's name off a couple games. You got the Cavs next, Boston, Brooklyn, Lakers, Heat, Clippers, Philly. Those games, I'm looking at a few NBA Final potential teams in those next 4 or 5 games. Find a rotation of 6 to 8 to 12 guys and see how it goes. Trying to fit all these guys in, like, it's not going to help. You go on a run, and the next thing you know, you want to plug in another guy just to get him some burn or some minutes. It doesn't make any sense. So for me, I think if the Knicks can do that, I think we see a consistent. I'm not going to say a much better team, but a consistent team, and that's what you need come to playoff time down the stretch. You need a team that's going to be very consistent.
Well, we talk about consistency. Let's talk about a consistency team that's probably like best in the league right now. You can argue that. The Memphis Grizzlies. They lost Friday night to the Lakers. They lost by 1 point, 122, 121. The Lakers are down double digits late in that game, ladies and gentlemen. But credit to the Lakers, they fought back and won the game off of Dennis Schroeder steal for the game-winning point. Let's talk about the game first before we get to the other stuff. How impressed were you with the Lakers to come back against the Grizzlies? Who, me personally, I thought, okay, Grizzlies coming to town. They got 11-game winning streak at that time. John Morant is my MVP so far. I'm not trying to hear Jokic getting third MVP in a row. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to see Jokic get a third MVP in a row. But anyways, I thought Memphis would come in and blow them out. LeBron, he'll get inch closer to Kareem. How impressed were you with the Lakers winning that game, coming back from double digits in the fourth to win that game by 1 point? How impressed were you on that victory?
So I'll say this: LeBron James 8 for 21, 1 for 5, 23 points, and was in foul trouble. I'll say I was very impressed with the Lakers, and the reason why is because in this situation where we've had this narrative that if LeBron does not play well, the Lakers are in some trouble. That's what we have been seeing for the longest. Or Anthony Davis. There's no Anthony Davis. Austin Reeves isn't playing. So for me, I like how they found a way to win. mean, we're talking about the big bad Memphis Grizzlies right now. You know, like you said, they're on this hot winning streak. I believe it was 12. You said I think it was 11 or 12.
11.
11. Now even with that 11-game winning streak, they don't play that good. Oh wait, you know they're at 500 now. So, but this team, you know what we know with how young this team is. We talked about them last year. John Moran, Dylan Brooks, Steven Adams, the rest of these guys, Desmond Bain. The Lakers found a way to get it done. And that's with LeBron having a terrible game, in my opinion. Dylan Brooks just plays him very well. Every time they play each other, Dylan Brooks for some reason, he don't want to show up any other game of the season except when they play against the damn Lakers. I don't know what it is. Maybe he just gets motivated when he sees LeBron score. But again, you know, with LeBron having the game that he had, you're down some guys. The whole team stepped up. Now the shooting wasn't that impressive, but the stops that they needed to make at the end of the game was very important and very crucial. Like you said, Lakers had a lead early, and they found a way to finish that off. I mean, now you know, like Russ is gonna be Russ. You know, Russ is playing like he's like one of the best six men of the year, 6 men I've ever seen. The way he's playing right now. I mean, this looks like the role that he should have been playing. Hell, even when he was at OKC, he's playing that well off the bench, in my opinion. I mean, yes, he's gonna have his turnovers, but come on, man, dude, 7 for 11, 5 boards, 6 assists, and damn near 30 points off the bench. So he is playing extremely well. Kendrick Nunn, you know, came in, got his minutes, played a valid role, but I think this team made the stops that they needed to make at the right time. Now, obviously, with Schroeder making the biggest play of the night, sealed it. But it just seems as if they're resilient. Now, granted, would have played a huge part too for those that didn't see. Brandon Clark did miss that free throw at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got fouled, made the first free throw, and just missed the second one. And hell, you can even see it happening because I believe a couple plays before that, he did a hack of Brandon Clark, and I believe he missed 1 or 2 of those damn free throws. So for me, that played a part. But the fact is, at the end of the day, the Lakers found a way to get that victory. And that goes a long way, knowing that LeBron, who led them with all the minutes that he played, still found a way to win playing that bad. So, with that being said, I like how this momentum is going. Now, there is word that's saying that we may see Anthony Davis later on this week. Look, I think I did read something that there's a possibility that we could be seeing him later on this week. But I'm very. I definitely like, you know, the fact that they found a way to win this game, because this clearly was a game that nobody expected them to win. I'm hearing a lot of people say that, you know, Memphis was going to blow them out. You know, it was thinking about we will see a lot more Tyus Jones because they were thinking it was going to be a blowout. But at the end of the day, the Lakers found a way to get it done. And I like how this team fought their way to a victory.
Yeah, like Terry Marie said, I was surprised and impressed. I didn't know what to expect. You know, I figured like this one of those games, LeBron would get his points, and that'll be it. But you know, they hang tough for them for the most part until they, you know, like I say, got in a double-digit lead and stuff. But they fought back. You know, they didn't fold. And you know, with this Laker team, I think some people, I hope some of y'all noticing, like, a lot of games they have been in. You know, you had the loss against Indiana like a month or so ago. You know, and then last second shot, I forgot about who won the game. You know, a couple games ago against the Sixers, you know, when Russ, let's be honest, probably should have gave the ball up. But you lost by 1 there. it's like a lot of games they have lost that they could have won, but it's just like silly stuff that they do. Or the game gets like the Charlotte Hornets when they lost to them. This like little silly knick-knack stuff that the Lakers do just kind of just like kill the joy of everything. It's like, damn, y'all, this almost to the finish line, but you trip and the person right behind you wins. So I think it's showing some consistency at the towards the end of the games and stuff like that. Stuff like with things like Dennis Jordan did, shooting the ball, making a layup, stuff like that. If they can do that on a consistent basis and all that good stuff, I think it will go a long way for them for the rest of the year. Now tonight they got the Trailblazers. I don't know what you're going to see at the Trailblazers tonight. They're like one of those teams like you look up and you don't know who's out and whatnot. But they're playing in Portland. We'll see how it goes for them. You know, Reed's still out, Dave's still out, Lonnie Walker's still out. You know, the outside shooting is a concern. But, you know, like I said, to get some consistency and stuff like that, play smart, don't turn the ball over and all that good stuff, I think they'd be fine.
That's my thing. I mean, I think, like I said, now one thing that has happened that we know, Russ is going to turn the ball over. But the way he's playing, listen, I would take 4 turnovers with 29 points and shooting pretty well. I would take that. But I won't take 4 or 5 turnovers and 7 points.
But you don't want, yeah, even he does have 29 points, but you don't want those turnovers to be under 2 minutes.
Spots, yes.
One of those bad spots. It's like, why?
Yeah, and that's what, like you said, that's what cost him a couple games ago. Like, Russ has this head full of steam that if it's 7 seconds left or 15 seconds left, and he has the ball, he sees nobody else on the court except him.
Yeah.
Now he's chasing to go get that foul, and now he's trying to get that and when they're down by 2. He dribbles the ball out of bounds for some reason. And for those that haven't probably seen the Lakers or seen Russ, just watching him, I can see just some of the decisions and some of the stuff that just be happening. It's like, okay, nobody dribbles the ball off their ankle as much as Russ does. Stuff like that doesn't happen often. It's just like it's something happens with Russ. But listen, 7 for 11 at the free throw line, 10 for 18, 29 points, and 4 turnovers. I don't mind that. As long as it's, like you said, as long as it's not at the wrong time, I'm perfectly fine. And that's where the Lakers need to make it a little bit more consistent. Listen, I got this great game out of Russ, but hell, it's by 30, 40 seconds left. Maybe Schroeder needs to have the ball in his hand, or LeBron, obviously. But Russ is the person that I don't need to have the ball in his hand at this moment, because all it takes is for the momentum to be going great for them, which we've seen. And Russ turn the ball over. It's like, oh, well, damn, okay. We had this momentum. We were down by 8, now we're down by 4, and we're about to score. And he turned the ball over. Now they go back up by 6. So now it kind of, brings the momentum down. And I've seen it in multiple games so far this year with the Lakers. So hopefully this is something that they correct. I think if they correct that, I think they'll be fine. So their next game is, actually, they got Portland today? Yeah, Portland tonight at 9. Which should be pretty interesting. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Nurkic had a hell of a game tonight.
Well, yeah, L.A. got me no bigs and stuff like that, but hell, you can say that about a lot of teams. Got a bigs and don't take advantage of that and stuff like that. But
Correct.
The other thing that kind of happened during that game, around halftime, one NFL Hall of Famer, Shannon Sharp, who's kind of been in the headlines a lot here lately, he's got into it with one Dylan Brooks. And Mr. Shannon Sharp and she would come see me on Dylan Brooks. So much so that everybody in the Grizzlies came over trying to see what's up with Shannon. Including Steven Adams, who... Do you think he can kick somebody's ass?
Man, that dude was like a giant when he walked up. I know Shannon is big, and I seen him walking up to Shannon, and I'm like, this dude look like a true bodyguard. How big he is! I didn't know he was that huge like that.
I mean, I know he's, in his 50s and stuff like that, and I know he works out still. And all that, but, I mean, Steven Adams got to think about it. That old man strength is something else.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I honestly think that was just a issue with Ja Morant, saying something, and then Dylan Brooks adding on, as we see in his press conference after. I don't know if he was trying to be smart ass about saying that he basically don't know anything about Shannon, or, maybe he truly doesn't know who Shannon is. Now, like a lot of kids that know Shannon from Undisputed, Shannon is one of the greatest tight ends of all time.
Oh, yes.
But those that don't know it, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know, but if they don't, just look up Shannon Sharp's, stats, go to YouTube, because everything's on there. You'll literally see what Shannon was doing in his day. So Shannon is one of those guys, Hall of Fame. Hell, I believe they were saying his brother was even better. He would have been a Hall of Fame had he not got hurt. I think his 4th or 5th year in the league. So Shannon is has a long resume himself. But for what Dylan Brooks to say that, something had to be motivated in all of this. And I believe that it started between Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks, and Shannon. Then Ja Morant's dad goes over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a very interesting thing. I mean, it went left quick. I believe Shannon went back out to the game.
Yeah.
I know. Now, I did see an interview that they said that he did, but I was reading some of the stuff, and he was talking about how he said they didn't want no smoke or anything. I'm really literally thinking in my mind, would Shannon say that? But he probably would. But obviously, I think that it was started on the Memphis side. Now, I think that Shannon obviously was talking trash, as a lot of fans do. I don't know. I don't think Shannon would cross the line as far as to say something, being the fact that he's a former player himself, a former pro athlete himself. So I think that maybe John Morant said something, and then Shannon just took it to the extreme, or maybe somebody said something, pushed some buttons, and then that was that. So, oh my gosh, what are the Cowboys doing? So for me, it just went left quick, man. I think it was some recording on Mike saying that he was hearing Ja Morant telling Shannon to sit down and all the other stuff, and Shannon is trying to let them know, like, hey, I'm seeing him say, "I bet you won't," to his dad multiple times. So it leaves me. I'm wondering what his father was saying to Shannon, but that jump went chaos, man. It went crazy. Then at the end, now they hug it out, which I found very interesting as well. So I guess that just was like another little interesting thing that happened in LA.
For me, for John Morant's daddy trying to get into it, I was like, I saw that to the side. I was like, dude, come on now. Like, really? And for Dylan Brooks, he's had some wild things and stuff like that. That if when the Lakers play the Memphis again, LeBron's gonna remember that, and he's gonna like torture Dylan Brooks all damn game. And Dylan Brooks kind of sound like Ruben Patterson in a sense, like he's the Kobe stopper. He's trying to make himself like the LeBron stopper with some of the comments he made. Like, dude, don't stroke the fire. Because hell, and I've been critical of LeBron about this, but if he really wanted to go and drive on your ass every time you touch the ball, he could with ease. Let's be real about that. Ladies and gentlemen, if LeBron James wanted to and drive to the basket, he would in a heartbeat.
Well, there's I'm sorry to cut you on. There's two moments that I remember. I know about LeBron that will stick with me. For one, the last time they did that, one of the most recent times both of them played against each other. I think either Dylan Brooks was talking trash to somebody, disrespecting LeBron, and he was like, "Don't disrespect me, you know who I am. I live and all that." A couple seconds later, he go down there and dunk on somebody. So we know that, and I think this is when LeBron was in Cleveland, probably in his younger days. I can't remember when they did the interview. They asked him, about leading the league in scoring. And he said, if I wanted to lead the league in scoring every year, he basically was implying that if he really wanted to lead the league in scoring every year, he can. So, let's not forget, in my mind, I put LeBron, well, we all do, but I put LeBron in that era of Michael Jordan. You go say something to this man, he's going to go off. So you give him an ounce of motivation, that could put your whole team in a terrible, terrible spot. And I believe that this is one of the moments that, hell, the Lakers mess around and get this streak going. You may see these two teams could possibly, they make the playoffs. They could meet up in the playoffs, and this could be something that could be steamed and start a lot during that series. So, and again, Dylan Brooks, he to be honest with you, it's crazy that we're talking about him and the Knicks the same night, because he is just about as inconsistent play as Hill is with his rotation. This dude will come out and give you 20 and 5, and then won't do that again until 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah.
Now, we can point that and say, well, it's because they got so many people on the team. I disagree with that. He has as much opportunity as many. But for him, like I said, and I understand the ego thing. Hey, you don't supposed to be scared to cover, to play against anybody. So, but there's a way that you do that. And I feel like the way that he is going about it is definitely the way that's going to motivate LeBron. So, and then even with that, what motivated LeBron being the fact that I think they asked LeBron about the whole situation between Shannon, and you know what LeBron said? He said he got Shannon back no matter what. So he knows, aware of that. So that tells you that's something that's probably going to motivate him for this. The next time these two teams meet up.
So yeah, we'll leave on that note. I think the guys in Memphis, I think you got like the young, they'll draw back and forth, and they gotta be aware that sometimes you can't get caught up in your own hype in a sense, and you gotta watch yourself. That it don't bite you in the ass, and everybody will, not let that go right now. And you know how things are in today's society. Folks don't let things go down easily. They don't let you let things go away, especially in the sports world. You kind of look at the score right now. Phoenix is up 38-22 on Memphis right now. So,
we're talking about a Phoenix team that doesn't have a lot of their main players.
No Devin Booker still with the hamstring issues. No DeAndre Ayton tonight. So Chris Paul's playing, but Other than that, you gotta take advantage of that. I do want to talk about some college basketball. A couple things that kind of happened over the weekend, D-Lock. First, LaLoya. Uh, LaLoya, I think it's make sure I got the right one. LMU, LaLoya. Come on. LMU, they beat Gonzaga on the a few days ago actually, 68-67. Like Terry Rodriguez brought up in the chat, they snapped Gonzaga's 75-game home winning streak. You got that win, Lola Marymount. Thank you, Taryn. You got them beating Gonzaga a couple days ago, snapping that winning streak at home. Then today you got Temple beating Houston in a tough game.
Hell of a tough game.
In which Houston, they had their chances at the end. They had like at least 3-4 attempts at the rim, but it just couldn't. It didn't fall for them. Which win was more impressive to you? Loyola Marymount snapping Gonzaga's 75-win home winning streak, or Temple, who's 12-9, get a big win against Houston, who should drop when the new rankings come out. They should drop a little bit. Which win was more impressive for you over the weekend?
Well, for me, it is definitely Temple. And the reason for me is the last 3 or 4 possessions. That did it all. I mean, at this point, you have, you're at Houston. You are going against basically the big dog right now. Everybody expecting this team to win. I don't think people thought it was, they didn't think it was going to be close. And they get 3 possessions. Not only do they get 3 possessions, they get 3 possessions without you even touching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And you make 3 stops. That alone was huge. Oh my gosh. That alone was a huge huge win for me. And the fact that we've seen what Houston has been all year long, what we expect from them. So, for me, I think that Temple did come up big, and this is why I love college basketball, because this is any game, anything can change. That's why the tournament, March Madness, is so grabs so much attention. It's so important because you get in that tournament, you put a lot of teams in there, a lot of different things can happen. And when you do see this, these things that will happen in that Temple and Houston game. That's the kind of stuff that you see in the tournament. So that was the most important one, or the biggest one to me, man. I definitely think that game, the end of it, was one of the, it basically had you on your toes checking that game out.
I think for me, Loyola Marymount was impressive because, when you got like a team like Gonzaga that, kind of dominates a conference like that, like the West Coast Conference, it's kind of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Suffocating. How they got a string of hole in that, that conference. How dominant they are. How where's the beat them. If you're on the road and stuff like that, going up to Spokane, all that stuff. I think more impressive that Lawyer or L.A. or LM goes up there and wins. I'm impressed by that because this Gonzaga team is strong, but I think they ain't like you're not putting on the level as a Houston, Alabama, UConn, Purdue, um, Tennessee's up in the rise right now. I think I might have missing a team right now off the top of my head. But you're not putting them in that echelon with those cards. You park on the next level below, but they're not scaring nobody. So I think that, more impressive win for me was the Loyola Marymount to win on a roll like that and set that winning streak because now you don't got that pressure. Like the other teams don't have that pressure to kind of And I know it's kind of like hey, we could be the one that beat the streak, but now okay, Gonzaga got some vulnerability to themselves. And I do want to shout out Temple. They take nothing away from them. Go down to Houston, that tough environment down there, and get the victory like that. And not only get the victory like that, the defensive stand on the last few seconds to win that game too. I gotta give Temple credit on that. That defensive stance at the end of that game against Houston, a chef's kiss. Great defense. Luckily, they didn't make the tips and stuff like that. But credit to them staying strong down low. I'll let y'all have last word.
That was the biggest thing for me. Because now you're giving a team that, is a top held number one team in a sense, top three, number two team. And you find a way to stop them all three times. So for me, I feel like that was a huge moment. That could change a lot for that program, Temple. Now at this point, it's just about how they use this momentum moving forward. Again, like I said, that's why we love, college basketball because of how you have these teams and college football is kind of turning that direction. And the fact that they have, I think, a 12-team playoff. You have these teams that get on the road, and once they get a chance to get in a tournament, get on the road, they have a good chance of winning the national championship. And these little wins here is what gets them to believe and draw that momentum. So for me, excellent win by Temple. I use that as when things do get kind of rocky, when you do have those bumps in the road, when you start to struggle, you can look back at this game and say, this is what we did, to a top ranked team. So moving forward, if they can do that, I think they'll be fine. They just have to continue to believe and stay on it. I mean, that's the biggest deal. Now for Houston, they have to have a short-term memory.
Yeah.
You have to know that, okay, hey, maybe didn't come to this game as motivated as did before or as aggressive, but now you can't take any team for granted. You got to be on it ASAP. You can't waste any possession. You can't try to go through it and think, well, this is a smaller team that's not as talented. We can take this victory. Nah, this is a learning thing for Houston when they come to the tournament, because now you will face teams like this, early in the tournament that are not just there. They're not happy just to be there. They want to win the damn championship just as much as you do. So this needs to be a motivating thing for them. But I definitely think that that win by Temple was a great thing, man, for this past weekend.
And then kind of look at Houston's schedule down the line. They got UCF here in 3 days. After that, they got Cincinnati on CBS. Then kind of look at the early February slate. You go to Wichita State on the 2nd of February. Play Temple and Philly on the 5th of February. So, I mean, a favorable schedule in February. I mean, you got Memphis down the line. Tulane as well. But like you mentioned, you got to shake it off. You don't want to lose that number 1 seed for the tournament positioning, all that stuff. So, like I said, shake it off. You got to go to Orlando. If you win that, come back home and play Cincinnati, I think you'd be all right. But, we'll see. Some teams kind of shake it off. I think Kevin Selfson is that right type of coach to tell them to shake it off. Okay, it's a bad loss. Okay, they play great defense in there. Just adjust and all that stuff. Here are free throws because we're 11 for 21. And like I always state on this show, if you're at least shooting 70% at the line, depending on how the game goes, well, it'll determine how things go during the game. And you lose by 1, and you shoot for 11-21 for the free throw line. 52%. That's where your ball game's at right there. And I know Houston don't got like the world's best shooting, but still though, that's just bad all around. 11-21 for the free throw line. Meanwhile, to Temple, 20 for 22 from the line. So there you go. But I'll let you have the last word on that.
Yeah, like I said, those kind of victories are that starts to get the ball rolling, for a lot of teams. And could Temple can they make this a snowball effect? Can they get things rolling and be ready? And could this be one of those victories that they look at around tournament time and say, hell, look at this. So for me, like I said, this is a motivating thing, and this is what they need to use it as. Going into Houston's house and getting a win, that had to be a hell of a ride.
So we'll leave it on that note. I know some other things I wish we could have got to, like Bronny James trimming down his list to Ohio State, Oregon, USC. It'd be really to see, how his college recruitment still goes, because from what I saw, D-Lock, I think they're still trying to open it up. I mean, he's still open. Granted, those are the 3 teams he's trying to focus on, but he's still open to other schools as well. So, I don't know. It seems like he's waiting for other schools to come about. I don't know. But, I mean, we shall see, in his recruitment. And then, like Ohio State women's basketball, they 18-0. They got a tough matchup against Iowa tomorrow. So, that's a game to keep an eye on for tomorrow as well. They play at home against Iowa. LSU women's, they 19-0 as well. They play against Alabama at Tuscaloosa. Their men's team didn't fare so well not too long ago, so let's see if the women's can do the same. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. It was a great show tonight. Great to be back on the air. Everything feels great and good. Hoping everything's going well for everybody out there with the new year. I know a lot of crazy stuff has been happening and stuff like that. And we're only about 22 days in the new year. But D-Lock, how could the people find you on social media?
You guys can definitely find me at Black-813. I'll be talking to the Orlando Magic. And since my season for the Bucks is already over, I'll be thinking about the off season as far as free agency and the draft. But know they can find you at, man.
You can find the show on Twitter at FastBreak at IESR. That's FastBreak IESR. All do please check out the website iSportsRadio.com. You get the latest shows feed and news on through there. A lot of new shows are joining the network. We're doing playoff talk of the 3 and Out series with one Terry Rodriguez and the founder Larry B. They talk football every morning, so when these divisional games conclude, they'll be talking about those games tomorrow morning. So do keep on the lookout for that. Also, do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. No problem, Terry. No problem. Also, do follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I do another show named The Crook Process. You see the CP logo on the profile. Do give me a like and follow there. My next episode for The Crooks Process will be talking about the Tennessee Titans season and whatnot. I was trying to let more things come through news and stuff like that with a new GM that this guy hired this past weekend. So I kind of want to let things get through there to talk about the season end and my recap. So that's where I'm at with The Crooks Process. So look for that episode to drop sometime this week. But till then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with us. Do follow us on Twitter, feedback and all that stuff. To get into all that. But till then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy y'all rest of the night. Talk to y'all later. Peace.